Okay, I hope now you can hear me well. So in this lecture, as I told, I will be working out this example type A1. So I will try to work out all the details as much as possible. Okay. So we start with this type A1. So for us, denote R and R prime, they are same. So I'm mostly following McDonald's notations, but I will also like mix some notations. But I will actually define everything wherever I'm actually using some new notations. So the underlying finite root system is type A1. So that is denoted by plus or minus alpha. Okay. So we actually normalize so that the mod alpha square is 2. So this is our assumption. So then what will be our lattice? So our lattice L, which is same as L dash. So that is given by uh, uh, z of alpha. So so we can also set this omega to be this of alpha. So this is the fundamental weight corresponding to this alpha. Okay. So then it is easy to see that the pairing omega alpha. So this will be 1. Okay. So okay, I'm using both notations. So now the finite while group that is generated by this S alpha. So the S alpha is denoted by S1. So this is actually given by only two elements, identity and the S1. Okay, so let me explain how this reflection acts. So you have this real line spanned by this alpha. Okay, so let's draw this. So here 0, and we have alpha by 2 here, and then alpha here. So similarly on the negative side, we have minus alpha by 2, and then minus alpha here. So then this S1 is actually reflection about this origin 0. Okay, so now what is the affine while group? So the affine while group, we know that it is generated by this simple reflection corresponding to 0th node on the node alpha. So it's WA, which is generated by S naught and S1. So, and one can easily see that there are only two relations. So the relations, so let me record it here. S naught square is 1 and S1 square is 1. So there are no other relations. So there are no Braid relations in this group. So the corresponding Dinkin diagram will look like this: 0, 1, and the order of this S naught S1 that you can see, that is infinite. So with respect to this line R alpha, so how this S naught can be identified? So S naught is the reflection about this alpha by 2. So because this alpha by 2, we are identifying with omega. So let me use some different color. So this is omega. So which is again most of the time will be identified with 1. So this S naught is a reflection about this 1. So S naught reflection 1. So which is alpha by 2. Okay. So now we can actually work out all the details about this affine while group. So for example, so what will be the translations there? So it is not hard to see actually the translation that corresponds to this alpha. So that will be just S naught S1. Okay, so this is the formula. So this is not hard to see. For example, if you just see here in this real line what is happening. So if I apply this S naught S1, so where the 0 will go, so 0 will be fixed by S1, And then what S naught does, because S naught is reflection with respect to this alpha by 2, so this 0 will be mapped to this alpha. So S naught of 0 will be alpha. Okay, and it's not difficult to actually work it out for the detail. So you can actually prove that T alpha is exactly equal to S naught S1. And clearly this S naught S1, it has infinite order. So because you can take any power of that, it will never become identity.
Sorry, what is E alpha?
Uh, what is E alpha? Where is E alpha?
You wrote down E alpha there, or was that T?
So this
You
is
wrote down T in the box, but what was outside the box? On the left of the box, huh?
oh, this is exercise.
Oh, exercise. Okay, okay, thanks, thanks.
Okay, so let's write down all the elements in W of I. Okay, so now with this observation that T alpha equal to S naught S1, so it's easy to write down all the elements. So WA is actually equal to T R alpha S1 power I, where R is coming from integers and I is either 0 or 1. So this is the complete set of affine group elements. Okay, so note that this is the description that we had before. Okay, so we have this group is generated by two elements S naught S1, and this is actually semi-direct product between this co-root lattice and the finite well group element. Okay, so you can think that way, because the co-root lattice I denoted by Q, so that is span of this alpha, eject span of alpha. So this is R alpha R in G. So all the computations are very explicit here. Okay, so so note that we also have some relations between this S1 and T alpha. Okay, so the S1 T alpha, so which is equal to T minus alpha S1. So we can use this to prove this. Okay. So now what is the Dynkin diagram automorphisms? So there is only one Dynkin diagram, because so 0 node and 1 node is there. So one can actually only switch nodes between them. Okay. So 0 goes to 1 and 1 goes to 0. So that is our one of the non-trivial, that is the only non-trivial Dynkin diagram automorphism. So that I denoted by sigma. So then omega, which is the Lincoln diagram automorphism, so that is given by 1 comma sigma. Okay. So sigma again can be identified. So it acts on this real line. Okay. In particularly, it is acting on this alcove. So if I take this 0 comma 1, so this will be our the open 0 comma 1, that will be fundamental alcove. The closure close 0 comma 1 will be the closure of the fundamental alcove. So the sigma will act on this, and then it will actually permutes the nodes. Okay, so sigma what it does, so it actually takes 0 to 1 and then 1 to 0. So one way to think about it, it is actually a reflection about this 1 by 2. Okay, so here we have 1, which is alpha by 2. So we have off here. So the reflection about this 1 by 2, that is sigma. Okay, so then what is our extended affine value group? The extended affine value group is nothing but a semi-direct product of this omega and affine value group. But it's not hard to work out what will be this explicitly in terms of as a set. So it is exactly equal to, you take all the translation corresponding to omega, T or omega, and then S1 power I, where R is coming from Z and I is coming from 0 to 1. So how one can prove this? So you can observe that. So this is I stated as exercise. So observe that the T omega, so that is actually given by sigma S1. Okay. So recall that omega is nothing but alpha by 2. That is the fundamental weight. And the second thing is it is easy to compute the length of all these elements. Okay. So for example, the length of this T k omega. So that will be exactly the mod k for k in G. And one can explicitly write down what will be this T k omega in terms of these generators S1, S0, and sigma. Okay, so I will give you some formulas so that can be verified directly. So let me write down. So the T minus k omega, so that will be exactly equal to S1 S0 power n if k is equal to 2m, S0 S1 S0 power m S1 sigma if k equal to 2m plus 1. So now use that T omega is sigma S1 to write down the inverse. Okay. And again, like, so it's, so one can either start with sigma or end with sigma. So note that one can use this relation sigma S1 sigma must be S0. So if you use this, either this words you can end with sigma or you can begin with sigma. So you can actually go from one to other very easily using this relation. Okay, and it's easy to see what will be the length. Okay, because the sigma has length 0, so the length only will be contributed from these terms. Okay, and because these elements have very explicit description, so it's easy to write down what is u mu and v mu for given mu. Okay, we will come to that later, but this is the explicit uh, description of this translation in terms of generators. So I will actually record one exercise. So that actually tells about this extended affine Weyl group. So it's easy to see that this extended affine Weyl group is generated by S1 and sigma, because we know that S naught is actually given by sigma S1 sigma. So that implies that W is generated by S1 and sigma. So with the relations, now it's not very hard to prove. So these are all the only relations that is enough to define this group. So S1 square is identity and sigma square is identity. Okay. So as abstract groups, both W and W affine, this extended affine and affine both are isomorphic, but as actual groups, they differ because the action differs. Okay. Okay, so now let's move to the bride group. So, so what we have, so we have the affine Weyl group, so which is generated by this S1, S0, and then we have this extended affine Weyl group, so which is generated by you can say sigma S1. Okay, so with some relations. So here relations are S1 square, S0 square is identity. Here sigma square and S1 square is identity. So these are all the relations. Now we will define the bride group that corresponding to W. So recall the definition that bride group is generated by the symbols T of W. So with some relations. So what are all the relations? So the relations are given by T of uv will be equal to T of u plus T of v if length of uv is equal to length of u plus length of v. Okay, so this is how we define the bride group. Okay, so the very first proportion. So we have very nice generating set for this bride group. With respect to that, we can actually write down sorry, presentation for this bride group. So here is the first proportion. So this bride group B is actually generated by G T naught T1 such that G square is identity and G T1 G that actually takes so G conjugates T1 to T naught. Okay, so we saw very similar relations there in the GLN case as well.
Sorry, Venkatesh,
Yeah.
T of UV is T of U plus T of V.
Oh, sorry, it's product.
And this is for you're doing it for the double affine valve group W.
No, this is what I'm doing right now for
This is only for
the extended affine valve group. So this is extended affine valve group. So we'll come to double affine bride group later. Okay. So if you recall, first we started with the extended affine valve group. Then we defined bride group of extended affine valve group and then tried to understand what is happening there. And then later we go to double affine bride group. Okay. So we try to understand how that group looks like. Then we go to the DAHA, okay, double affine Hecke algebra. So we go like step by step to understand the DAHA. Okay. So towards DAHA, this is the first step, understanding the bride group. So the bride group is generated by the symbols TW with this relations T of UV equal to TU times TV whenever length of UV is equal to length of U plus length of V. So now it's easy to see that because W is already generated by S naught, S1 and sigma. Okay, so the G corresponds to sigma, T naught corresponds to S naught and the T1 corresponds to S1. Okay, so we can actually simply write down all the things. It will be like, so that will prove this. Okay, so here is the sketch. So you note that first sigma S1 sigma inverse, so that is S naught. So in particularly length of sigma S1 plus length of sigma inverse, so that will be exactly length of S naught. So now if I take G to be T of sigma and Ti to be T of Si for I equal to 0, 1. Okay, so then it's clear that T of S naught will be equal to, which is T naught, which is equal to T of sigma S1 times T of sigma inverse. Okay, and again the length will add up. Okay, this length also length of sigma plus length of S1. So this will be equal to T of sigma, T of S1, T of sigma inverse. So which is T of sigma inverse. So this actually tells you that, so with this identification, okay, uh, so because, okay, this is also true, sigma square is identity and then the length of sigma is 0. So this will imply that T of sigma square is identity. Okay, so that implies this T naught equal to G T1 G inverse, so which is same as G. Okay, so clearly the relations that we have, they satisfies. And it's not hard to see that uh, because we have given W and W, so we can use very explicitly what are the elements in W, or we can use that W is generated by S naught, S1, and sigma to observe that this G T naught T1, so that actually generates B. Okay, and these relations are satisfied, so you have a map from this group. So if you call this group is B dash, so you have a map from B dash to surgically onto B. And the other way map is not very hard to produce. Okay, so that proves actually B is isomorphic to B dash. So basically you verify the relations by identifying. So once you know the dictionary between, like in some sense, the conversation between the generators, how to go from one generator to another generator, you can actually verify all the relations. So here it's very clear what we are doing. Okay. So this proportion is not that hard to prove. So let's see another presentation of this bright group.
So
Okay.
Venkatesh,
So,
if, can I just ask you a question?
yeah.
So I think just to, I mean, given the context of this GL thing that we have been doing until now,
Mm-hmm.
I guess what you are doing is more like the SL2 version rather than the GL2 version. Is that, I mean, for example, your G seems to be a finite order in your case.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Type A1 SL2 case.
Okay. So there is some difference. I mean, just to.
Yeah. I'm not doing GL.
Sort of
So
thinking
I
G as what
wanted to do something different. This is SL2 case. Yeah, exactly what you said is correct. I am not working out the details for GL2 because GLN we have spent already enough time. So I am doing this other cases. So in this talk, I will try to work out details for SL2. The next talk, I will do SL3, and later I will focus on this other case. Okay, so let's come back.
But I'm confused. So this Z cross, I mean Z semi-direct product Z mod 2Z is what you have, right?
Z semi-direct product, Z mod 2Z. Yeah. So we have this
But-
infinite diagonal group.
Yeah, but that was our group for GL2, didn't it? Or GLN, GL1. Because we had Z power n semi-direct product Sn, that was extended affine GLN, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. No, but
So I'm a little confused when you said this is for SLN.
no, this relation G square is 1.
Uh-huh. That thing I understand, but when I was looking at it from the other point of view, you have
No, I don't get your question. Maybe
no,
Arun.
see, I'm just following from Arun's notes. We had said that this Z power n semi-direct product Sn, which we also identified with the n periodic permutations.
Yeah.
That's the extended affine while group of GLN. That's what I understand. Arun, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So
Yeah.
you are doing, now what you have is Z semi-direct product, Z mod 2Z, which is just Z to the power 1 cross S1.
No, but you would want Z to the 2, no? If you're doing GL2.
Yeah, that's right. And so this has a hyperplane. Z is a hyperplane inside of Z to the 2. Z.
I see, but
GL2 would
sorry, go ahead.
GL2 would be Z2 semi-direct product S2, which is the same as Z2 semi-direct product Z mod 2Z. And SL2 will be, the Z2 is changed to Z. So it's a hyperplane inside of the Z2.
Aha. Okay. Now I understand. Thank you. Yes,
So if you
thank
think in terms of the lattice, okay,
Yeah.
so the lattice here is this Z epsilon 1 minus epsilon 2. So there we work with Z epsilon 1 plus Z epsilon 2. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So we are going down one dimension.
I think I understand. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was confused.
Okay, so to make it clear, okay, so the affine root system that I'm working with, okay, are affine. So this is plus or minus alpha plus R delta, where R is coming from integers. Okay, so the alpha that is fixed for the A1. Okay, so we saw already one presentation for this bride group. So let me give you another presentation. So let me just so this B is generated by G T naught T1 such that G square is 1 and G T1 G is equal to T naught. So this is actually the second one. The first one is given by the T of W's. The third one, so what we can do, we can actually take Y to be this T naught G, which is same as GT1. So using that, so one can give this new presentation. It is generated by T1 and Y with the relations T1 Y inverse T1, so that will be equal to 1. Okay, so here the dictionary, like Y you take it to be T naught G, so which is same as GT1. Okay, so from here you can read out what it is. Okay, so now how do you verify? Like again, like once you know these are all the relations between the generators, so you verify the relations and then see you have a surjective map from one to other. Okay, so let me just verify the relations. So because so what we need to verify, so we need to verify that T1 Y inverse T1 that should be equal to Y, but that's somewhat easier. So if we take T1 Y inverse T1, so that is equal to T1 sorry, so what is Y inverse? Y inverse is T1 inverse G, T1 inverse G T1, so which is equal to GT1. So that is again Y. Okay, so this tells that if I take this group to be B dash, then we have a surjective map from B dash to B. Okay, so because we verified this relation inside inside B. So now to verify the other way, what we can do, we can again take so for the other way, now use the same relations. Okay, now we need to define what is G. So G is, you can take it to be Y T1 inverse, and then T naught, so T naught to be YG. Okay, so I'm just rewriting the relations that I stated here. Okay, so if you take this, so then it's easy to verify what is G square. So I need to verify what is happening with G square and this GT1G. Okay, these two relation I need to verify. So what is G square? So G square is Y T1 inverse, again Y T1 inverse. But what it is exactly equal to, because if you recall, so this T1 inverse, Y T1 inverse, so this is just Y inverse. So that gives that Y inverse equal to identity. So the first relation is true. So now if you compute what is G T1G, so that is exactly equal to Y T1 inverse T1G, so which is YG, which is T. Okay, the second relation also verified. So that means you have a surjective map from B to B dash, and composition is identity, so you will have isomorphism. Okay, this is how we verify, like how we get actually different presentations, so that are given by the generators. Okay, so this second this presentation, this will be very useful later. Okay, so there is another presentation that one can give it for the bright group. So let me state that as exercise. Okay, so that's not very hard. So now you know what to do. So here is the third presentation. So that so in some sense this is fourth presentation. Okay. So what is it? So this B is now generated by, you can see that so T1 and G, they are good enough to generate B, because for example T naught, so T naught is you can actually get it from GT1G. So that means uh, I can actually take this new set of generators T1 and G, and then so what will be the relations? So T1, there is no relation between T1 and G, because GT1 G is T naught. Okay, so that is not reflected here. So that means we actually only include only one relation, so that is G square being 1. So what will be the so to go from this to the original thing, or the GT naught T1 relations, you actually use that define T naught to be G T1G. Okay, so that will give you this new presentation. Okay, so this is about the bright group. Now let's move to this affine, double affine bright group. Okay, so I will state this proportion. Actually, I'm going to give you various presentations of this double affine oil group. So because we already saw that we have some various presentations for the bright group. So very similar to that, we can also have various presentations for this double affine bright group. So let me state the proportion. So the proportion, I don't know, maybe 3. So the following presentations are equivalent for B tilde. So the B tilde is the double affine bright group. Okay. Okay. So here is A. So the B tilde. So it is generated by. So let me write it here. So generated by q power of, so that is some parameter that we fix. So that is central. So that means it commutes with all the elements in the group. And then G, T naught, T1, G check, T naught check. So you can see that this T1 is common, okay? And then this is one of the bright group, and this is another bright group, okay? So we have to implement all the relations for those bright groups, and we have to say how they interact, okay? So the relations, so they are given by, so first G square is 1, and T naught equal to G T1 G. Okay, so this is coming from the first bright group. So the second bright group, so G hat square, G check square is 1, and T naught check is G check T1 G check inverse. Okay, so and there is one more relation that actually tells you how this G check G they interact. Okay, so it says T1 G G G check G, so that is q power minus of G G check T1 inverse. Okay, so it is generated by these 6 elements. Okay, and q power of is central, so it commutes with everything. And you can see that this is corresponding to one of the bright group, and this corresponds to another bright group, and then they interact with these relations. Okay, so these are all the relations that we have. So now what we can do as before, so if you recall what we did, we actually set y equal to y equal to T naught G. Okay, so by setting that, we could actually change the bright group generator and then their relations. Okay, so using that, we can also play around and then come up with some new set of generators and relations for this affine bright group. So let me write it here. Okay. So here is this second presentation. So B tilde generated by T naught, T1, G, X, and this Q power of. So Q power R is always central. Okay. So whenever I write Q power of, this is always central. So with the relations, so the relations are, so G square. So now what I did, I have changed one bright group generator. Okay, I kept the other bright group generator as it is. So now you can see that T naught check and the G check disappeared, and then we got X. So this is G square equal to 1, and the bright group relations, T naught equal to G T1 G. So this is, and we need to say what will happen between this Gx. So the Gx is equal to q power of xg, and T1 x T1 must be equal to x inverse. And there is this another relation how T naught interact with x. Okay, so you can see that this is kind of corresponding to the bright group, and this is corresponding to the another bright group. Okay, and this is saying that how these two bright groups interacts. Okay, so now similarly I can actually change the generators in the first bright group. Okay, that G T naught, and then we can get another presentation. T naught check, T1, G check, Y, and Q power of. So this is central. So the relations G check, sorry, G check square is 1 and T naught check is G check T1 G check inverse. G check Y is equal to Q power of minus of Y inverse G check, and T1 inverse Y T1 inverse, so that is equal to Y inverse, and T naught check inverse Y inverse T naught check inverse, that is equal to Y. So this is very similar to what we have in B. Okay, so only thing we have changed this uh, G and T naught to this Y. Okay, so you can see what generators are changed and how we get this. And there is another interesting presentation of this B tilde. Okay, so that I will not prove, that I will leave it as exercise. So this is another presentation. So this is the fourth presentation. So B tilde is generated by. So what I can do, if you remember, we can actually, for the bright group, we can simply change the generators from G T naught T1 to only T1 and Y. Okay, so we can do the same thing for the double bright group, double affine bright group. So if I change that way, so then the new generators will be T1 X and Y. And this Q power of will be the central element. So with the relations, that will be T1 X T1 will be X inverse, T1 Y inverse T1 will be Y, and this G X G inverse, so that will be Q power of X inverse. So but I need to tell you what is G, because there is no G in the generators. So where you can take G to be this Y T1 inverse. So because we have this relation, so this will tell you that this is same as T1 Y inverse. So in particularly, it will follow that G square is identity. Okay. So this is another presentation by replacing the generators G T naught and G naught check T naught check by this respective X and Y. Okay. Okay. So so let's prove this. It's not hard to prove these presentations are equivalent. Okay. So what we will do, we will only prove that A and C are equivalent. Okay, so then it's clear that how A and B are equivalent by just using the similar arguments, and A and D are equivalent, that I already checked it for the bright group. You can use a similar argument to prove for A and D are equivalent. Okay, so here is the proof. We prove A and C are equivalent. So now I need to tell you that how the generators will be changed. Okay, the dictionary between them. Okay, so the conversation between the generators are given by. So what we do, we take Y to be GT1. So as before in the bright group, and okay, so I'm just writing parallelly what will happen to the X. Okay, let me just write it. X to be G check T1 inverse. Okay, so now you observe that once I put Y equal to GT1, so then this T naught T1 will be equal to G T1 G inverse T1. Okay, so because this is, I'm replacing T naught by this, so which is equal to G T1 square, because G equal to G inverse, so which is same as Y square. Okay, so similarly you can see that T naught check inverse T1 inverse. So that will be x square. So this is just aside. Okay. So this is the just I have just written down some relations. So, but this is the dictionary. Like you go from this GT1 that generators to Y like this, and then to X like this. Okay, so let's prove A implies C. Okay, so for that we can just take Y to be GT1. Okay. Uh, So then the first and second relations, they are actually obvious. Okay. So uh, let me write down what are all the first and second relations. The first relation is G check square is identity. The second relation is T naught check equal to G check T1 G check inverse. Okay. And they immediately come from the respective relations that is there in A. So now let's see how one can prove the third one. So the third relation,
What did you say here? These are part of the relations in A, right? Or,
yeah, that's what they come directly from the relations of A. They are immediate. I don't need to prove anything. That's what I'm saying.
no, you are assuming the relations in A and proving the relations in C hold, or which one are you doing?
Yeah. I am assuming
Okay,
the
okay, sure, sure.
relations in A and proving the
Yeah,
relations
yeah.
in C.
I was looking
So
at B.
I am using this Y to be equal to GT1. So this is
Thanks, thanks. Sorry, I was looking at B. Thanks. Yeah.
okay. So these two relations are immediate. The third relation that let's work it out. So for that we need to compute what is G check Y. So the G check Y is nothing but G check GT1 because I'm replacing Y by GT1. So which is equal to if you recall what is this T uh, T1 G check G. So which is same, which is nothing but Q power minus of G check T1 inverse. Oops. So this is equal to this. Okay. So that means I can actually multiply this G and G inverse. So okay. Okay, I'm just replacing this by, okay, let me write it here. I just use this and then write G check Y equal to G check GT1, which is equal to Q power minus of T1 inverse G check. Okay. So, but this is same as G check Y equal to. So now you can replace this by Y inverse Q power minus of Y inverse G check. So this is the relation we wanted. Okay, so now I will verify the fourth relation. The fourth relation in C. Okay, so that is I want to compute T1 inverse Y T1 inverse. So what is it? If you just compute using the definition of Y, this is T1 inverse G T1 T1 inverse. So which is equal to so I can cancel these two and then I get T1 inverse G, which is Y inverse. So that is what we wanted. Okay, so only the hard relation, it's not hard, it is just simple verification. The fifth one, so if I take T naught check inverse Y inverse T naught check inverse, so that will be equal to G check T1 inverse G check Y inverse G check T1 inverse G check. Okay, so now I can replace this Y inverse G check. Okay, what I did. So I Okay, so I don't remember what I did, but anyway, I will just write down what it is. So it is just equal to, so I am replacing uh, multiplying by G and G inverse, I guess. So what I get is Q power of G check T1 inverse G check Y T1 inverse G check. So I have replaced this by this, I guess. Okay. So now this will be identity, these two. So that will go away. And then if I take this T1 inverse Y T1 inverse, that I can replace by Y inverse. So that gives me Q power of G check Y inverse G check. So which is equal to Q G check Y Q Y. Okay, so that is what we wanted. So we wanted that T naught check Y inverse T naught check inverse is nothing but Q Y. So this actually proves that there is a map from B dash to B. Okay, now to verify the other relations from going from C to A. So we assume that all the relations in C, and then we verify the relations in A. So for that, we have to say what is G and T naught. So you take define G to be Y T1 inverse and T naught to be this Y square T1 inverse. Okay. So then the third and the fourth relations are immediate. So they are actually same as what we have here. So third and fourth relations are immediate. Okay, so now we will see what will happen to the first. So first we need to compute what is G square. So G square is Y T1 inverse, Y T1 inverse. But if I replace this by Y inverse, so then I get Y inverse equal to identity. The second relation, G T1 G. So that if you just work it out, it is just exactly equal to Y T1 Y inverse, which is Y square T1 inverse, that is equal to T naught. Okay, so this is also verified, this is also verified. So the only remaining is fifth relation. So let me just write down that here. So the fifth relation T1 G check G, which is equal to T1 G check Y T1 inverse, which is equal to Q power minus of T1 Y inverse G check T1 inverse. So which is exactly equal to Q power minus of G check T1 inverse. Okay. So we verified all the relations. So that means all the presentation that we gave, all of them are equivalent. And the fourth presentation, I will leave it to you as exercise because that is that's not hard to verify because I did that calculation for the bride group, so it will be same. Okay, so I'm almost out of time. I will just make one or two remarks about the affine Hecke algebras, and then I will stop. So now you know that. So first, okay, if you go back to the bride group, okay, let's first understand the Hecke algebra associated with the affine bride group. Okay, then only we should come to the Daha. So if you take this B and then take the group algebra associated with this B, then go modulo this extra relation that we always impose. Okay. So this Ti minus T power of times Ti plus T power minus of equal to 0 for I equal to 0 to 1. Okay. So if we do that, then what will happen?
And this is over some ground ring.
Yeah. So I am not specifying the ground field. So the ground field, okay, for example, you can take to be q of q power of t power of. Okay, the rational functions on this indeterminates. Or you can specify this q and t as complex numbers, and then you can put some conditions. So we'll come to that later, because now I'm only uh, uh, working with the Hecke algebra. Okay, so if I take this affine Hecke algebra, so what are the relations that you have? You have that it is because it is generated by this symbols TW that satisfying this condition T UV equal to TU times TV whenever the length of UV equal to length of U plus length of E. Using that, you can actually come down to this generators that I have already given. Okay, so that is G T naught T1 and so on. So then, so what is important? Okay, let me. So if you recall, so this B is actually generated by this other generators, okay, T1 and Y. So with some relation, the relations being T1Y inverse T1 equal to Y. So now if I take this group algebra generated by this, and then go modulo this ideal generated by this T1 minus T power of times T1 minus T power minus of equal to 0. Okay, I will go modulo this, both of this. Okay, then it's easy to see that so this algebra that we are getting at the end, so that will be spanned by all these elements of the form TW y power r. Okay, so this will be spanned where W is coming from this 1 or S1 and R is coming from this image. Okay, so I am actually, I will denote this underlying the base field to be K. So I will specify what will be the K later. Okay, and this is not hard to see. And what is important, like if you actually take T goes to 1, then you can see that this relation will actually come down to Ti square being identity. Okay, so that means, so from this algebra, affine Hecke algebra, you are actually going to the group algebra of this affine value group. Okay, so by bypassing there, but you know how to what will be the basis for the group algebra. Using that information, you can conclude that this spanning set is indeed a basis. Okay, so we get a very nice basis for the affine Hecke algebra. So we do the very similar thing for the double affine Hecke algebra. So there also actually we will get a very nice basis. Okay, so I will explain everything in detail in next lecture about this double affine Hecke algebra. So because I am running out of the time, I will just stop here.
Okay, are there any? Okay, should we ask her questions now before the recording ends?
Yeah, we can.
If there are any questions, yeah, please ask.
I did not get the last point that you said that t equal to 1 we know basis. Therefore,
yeah, so you know that this is this spans. Okay, so to prove linear independence, so if you have a surjection to some vector space where these elements actually linearly independent, okay, in that vector space, so that is good enough now.
see, I have to think about it after.
Where are you surjecting this to?
To the group algebra.
Are you going to quotient by t minus 1 or something like that?
Yeah, but so you can write down these relations and then basically, yeah. So you are substituting t equal to 1.
So this makes use of the ground ring or ground field or whatever. Okay, more questions?
I have a comment, I guess, to make. Yeah, so that this going from y to x, there is this involution that you can use. The check involution.
The check involution. Yeah, that
So for example, your B and C are the same if you by the check in. I mean, B and C are related by the check involution.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I just want to make. Yeah.
Actually, we can also use this fourth presentation to get that duality anti-automorphism. So one can easily check. So if you map T1 to T1, X to Y inverse, and Y to X inverse, Q to Q. So then that map will give us duality anti-automorphism. So fourth presentation is also like.
Could you say that again, please?
So if I take T1 to T1, X to Y inverse, Y to X inverse, Q power of to Q power of, so that will give us duality anti-automorphism. So that can be checked using this fourth presentation.
Also, I noticed that you had Ti minus T power minus half, and then Ti, you should have a plus, I guess.
So did I write it wrong? Ti minus?
At least in Arun's notes, it is Ti minus Ti minus half, or Ti half, Ti, and then Ti plus Ti.
Yeah, that's correct.
Plus T to the one is a minus and one is a plus.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the second one should be plus. Yeah, that's correct. Ti minus T power of, and then times Ti plus T power minus half. That should be 0.